They knew. For decades, manufacturers concealed the undeniable truth. The non-stick coating on your favorite pan, the grease-resistant lining in your microwave popcorn bag, and the stain repellent on your sofa were slowly contaminating you with chemicals engineered to never break down. You are about to understand how these synthetic compounds, known as per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, enter your body from the very items designed for your convenience. We will dissect the insidious pathway from kitchenware and food packaging into your bloodstream, expose the corporate deception that masked serious health threats, and arm you with the precise knowledge to reclaim your home from these invisible invaders. Imagine a microscopic chain, impossibly strong, linking atom after atom, creating a bond so robust that nature's most powerful forces, heat, acid, time itself, can barely touch it. This is the essence of PFAS. These forever chemicals derive their extraordinary properties from a carbon-fluorine bond, one of the strongest in organic chemistry. Manufacturers discovered early on that by coating surfaces with these compounds, they could create materials that repel everything: water, oil, grime. It felt like a miracle substance, promising a life free from scrubbing and stains. But that miracle came with an invisible cost, one that few people ever connect to the minor irritations they experience. You might notice a nagging fatigue that lingers even after a full night's sleep, or perhaps a persistent feeling of being generally unwell, an undercurrent of malaise you just can't shake. These subtle, often dismissed symptoms are exactly how PFAS begin their silent work inside you. When you heat a non-stick pan, especially above medium, the polymer coating begins to degrade, releasing tiny, invisible particles and gases into your kitchen air. That sizzling steak, that perfectly flipped egg, it's not just absorbing the heat, it's absorbing these liberated chemical fragments. The same goes for that microwave popcorn. The hot steam inside the bag draws PFAS from the lining directly into your snack. Once ingested or inhaled, these chemicals don't just pass through your system. Their unique molecular structure, that carbon-fluorine fortress, allows them to bypass many of your body's natural detoxification processes. They circulate, they accumulate, primarily in your blood and organs like the liver and kidneys. This isn't a theory, it is documented biological reality. A seminal study by Olson and colleagues in 2007 meticulously tracked the presence of various PFAS compounds in the general population, revealing that these chemicals were not only ubiquitous, but also persisted in human blood for years, some with half-lives exceeding 5 years, meaning it takes over half a decade for your body to eliminate even half of what's already there. What makes this particularly insidious is that your body doesn't recognize these synthetic molecules. They are utterly alien to your biology. So, your immune system, your endocrine system, your metabolic pathways, they all attempt to process something they were never designed to handle. It's like trying to run your car on sand instead of gasoline. The entire engine begins to sputter and break down in ways that seem disconnected but are fundamentally linked to the foreign fuel. What do you cook your food in most often? What are your children eating from? These are the questions that expose the real scale of this hidden infiltration. The regulatory apparatus, designed to protect public health, often lagged far behind industry innovation, focusing on immediate acute toxicity rather than the slow, cumulative damage of persistent compounds. This created a gaping blind spot, a loophole wide enough to drive a tanker truck through, allowing these chemicals to become embedded in our daily lives without a whisper of their long-term consequences. The true revelation, the horrifying extent of this chemical infiltration, becomes clear when we examine the documented health consequences. Before these chemicals became pervasive, before their levels in human blood became measurable in nearly everyone, certain critical biological markers were stable. Now, research paints a stark picture of significant shifts within our bodies. When PFAS accumulate, they disrupt delicate hormonal balances, impacting the thyroid gland, which regulates everything from metabolism to energy levels and mood. They interfere with your body's ability to respond to insulin, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. The most disturbing findings, however, revolve around the immune system and cancer. Consider the human body as a perfectly calibrated machine. When PFAS enter, they don't just sit there, they actively interfere with the operating system. They suppress immune function, making you more susceptible to infections and reducing the efficacy of vaccines. This isn't just about feeling a bit under the weather more often, it's about a fundamental weakening of your internal defenses. A groundbreaking study published by Barry and collaborators in 2013 identified a strong association between increasing PFAS concentrations in the blood and elevated cholesterol levels, as well as an increased risk of specific cancers, including kidney and testicular cancers. Imagine discovering that the very thing you use to prepare healthy meals or to protect your clothing was silently increasing your susceptibility to life-altering diseases. Industry documents, unearthed through decades of litigation and investigative journalism, reveal a deeply disturbing pattern. Companies were aware of the bioaccumulation and toxicity of these compounds as early as the 1950s and 60s. Internal memos discussed the persistence of PFAS in the environment and in living organisms. Yet, this critical information was not shared with the public, nor was it immediately disclosed to regulatory bodies with the urgency it deserved. Instead, strategies were employed to downplay risks, question scientific findings, and delay regulatory action. The argument was often centered on the necessary properties of these chemicals for consumer convenience and industrial efficiency, framing any concern as an overreaction to trace amounts. This scientific reframe, often pushed by corporate interests, turned the undeniable truth of bioaccumulation into a debate about negligible exposure. The consequence? Decades of widespread exposure, millions of people unknowingly carrying these chemicals, and a legacy of environmental contamination that will endure for millennia. The gap between what was known in corporate boardrooms and what was disclosed to you, the consumer, is not merely wide, it is a canyon of deliberate omission. So, what can you do starting today to push back against this chemical tide in your own home? The power to change begins with understanding where to look and what to change. First, your non-stick pans are likely the most direct and dangerous source of PFAS in your kitchen. Replace them immediately. Opt for alternatives like cast iron, stainless steel, or ceramic-coated cookware. When purchasing, specifically look for labels that state PFAS-free, PFOA-free, and PTFE-free. Remember, even PFOA-free does not mean PFAS-free. Many manufacturers simply switch to similar, equally concerning PFAS chemicals. Your goal is a complete break from this entire family of compounds. Second, reevaluate your food packaging choices. Microwave popcorn bags, many fast food wrappers, pizza boxes, and even some takeout containers are often treated with PFAS to resist grease and moisture. Reduce your reliance on these convenience foods. Instead, pop your own popcorn in a pot on the stove or use a glass bowl in the microwave and transfer takeout to your own reusable containers as soon as you get home. Prioritize fresh, unpackaged foods whenever possible, and if you must buy packaged goods, choose items in glass jars, cans, or untreated paperboard. This simple shift significantly cuts down on the direct transfer of chemicals from packaging to your meal. Third, address the hidden PFAS in your textiles and furnishings. Stain-resistant carpets, water-repellent outdoor gear, and some upholstery treatments often contain these chemicals. While you can't replace everything overnight, be mindful of new purchases. When buying furniture or clothes, avoid stain-proof or water-resistant claims unless the product explicitly states it achieves these properties without PFAS. For outdoor gear, explore brands that promote eco-friendly, PFAS-free durable water-repellent DWR coatings. And in your daily cleaning, dust regularly with a damp cloth and vacuum with a HEPA filter. PFAS shed from these products can become part of your household dust, which you then inhale or ingest. Your home, once a sanctuary you instinctively trusted, now reveals itself as a silent battlefield. That seemingly innocent non-stick pan, once a symbol of convenience, becomes a stark reminder of corporate oversight. Every product label is no longer just a list of ingredients, but a potential crime scene awaiting your forensic investigation. You will never again blindly accept claims of safe or easy care without questioning what hidden chemistry might be behind them. You are no longer just a consumer. You are an informed guardian of your personal environment, seeing the world through a clearer, more discerning lens. This journey into the hidden landscape of chemicals has only just begun. What we have uncovered about the forever chemicals lurking in your kitchen is but one chapter in a much larger story. Stay with us as we continue to peel back the layers of deception, exposing the next commonly trusted item, the next deeply embedded chemical, and the next inconvenient truth that changes how you interact with your everyday world.